We came so far from dreams. The path was hard for me. They thought we fall, you see. Well, look at us now, look at us now. We make it hot when we on the scene. Yeah, that's 1,000 degrees. I got a grind for me and my team. Yeah, you know we gon' eat. You see the crowds when we come around. You know that I roll with some kings. We sit it down, I don't hear a sound, but I ask you who better than we. Tell me who better than we. We soaring to places you never could reach. When we walk in that spot, don't hear none of you speak. Shh, do you want peace or the peace? A king about to put you to sleep. Listen, my team is elite. You not even qualified to compete. He starving, he barely can eat. I guess that's why he always itching for beef. So I put him on ice and I told him to chill. Close your mouth if you can't pay for the meal. Making statements that you know you don't mean. Nice guy trying to act like he mean. Keep it a buck, keep it a bean. Attitudes will put you dudes in the beam. Isekai, he don't live in reality. Shake back, all become a fatality. Yeah, how you gon' hate when you mirror us? You think he a star, he ain't serious. X him out, we not on the same frequency. If you broke, you ain't hearing us. Work the screw, anime, that's how I feel, period. We winning, that's making them furious. We make it high when we on the scene, yeah, that's 1,000 degrees. I got a grind for me and my team, yeah, you know we gon' eat. You see the crowds when we come around, you know that I roll with some kings. We sit it down, I don't hear a sound, but I ask you who better than we.
Yo, what it do, guys? It is your boy, Leon Mookie here, and I'm back. Back with you with another To Be Hero X one-shot. And to start off one-shot month with a bang is What If Will Was in To Be Hero X? That's right, Will is the third option. Unlike that with my total drama, with that of, well, choosing Green over Will, I feel like even though season 2 hasn't came out yet, I think I can use some things from that of the manga for To Be Hero X after all. So yeah. Now, just like always, gotta go through that of the rules of the what if, of course, of the one shot. Just like that in the past 2 what ifs and one shots of To Be Hero X, I'll mainly be using that of a few characters from Wistoria, Wands and Swords. At least maybe up to that of 4 to 5 characters important to Will's story and growth as a character. So, with all that said, let's get into this, shall we, guys? In this world, trust is everything. Trust is reputation. Trust is power. The trust value system, an energy that all that of the human race can harness for themselves, where anybody can be a hero. However, there are some people that are either worthy of it or some not so much at all. In that of the AC after commission era year 20, this is the year where 2 children were born into the world. Both a boy and a girl. Both brunettes, but different shades of color of their blue hair. And both being orphans. These children's names are the blue-haired boy, Will, a boy with that of short blue hair and circle round glasses, while the other being his childhood friend and fellow orphan, Elfiria. These 2 have never wanted nothing else more in the world than just be by each other's side. These 2 are always inseparable with each other growing up as kids. Even the caretakers and the main caretaker of the orphanage, otherwise known as Ashley Serfort, couldn't even separate the 2. You can always say that the 2 were always locked to the hip with each other. While being at the orphanage, there was always one thing that made the 2 different though. Even though the 2 were close, one of them was gifted, was already born for some reason. No matter what, even though the girl has just exist, Elfiria already has trust value, already having powers to do what she pleases and how she pleases. But she normally just uses her powers to spend time with Will, play with him, the powers to manipulate ice any way she sees fit. Even at the age of 3 years old, she created that of an ice technique that created clones of her that were all sentient just like her, but still have her personality and everything, from memories and all. So in case that she had to do something or do chores, there were at least that of 1, 2 to possibly even 10 clones there for Will, so he wouldn't feel alone. Because of this, all the caretakers from the orphanage couldn't help but respect and look up to that of Elfiria, seeing her as the next potential to be a great hero. It also helps that the current year AC 23, a plane crash happened, and nobody knows the reason on why, or rather, the true reason being covered up in reality. But with the cover up, a new story was created of a 3-year-old girl being the sole survivor of that plane crash. That girl being Cyan. Because of this, Elfiria got a lot of attention on her, even before that of, well, she once shelled off that of her powers to people outside of the orphanage. But for Will, you would think since they were both born on the same year, came at the orphanage at the exact same time, and were always close together, that he would also have that of unnatural power of trust value after all. But surprisingly enough, Will has none. Not a single drop of trust value. Even when those in that of the orphanage actually care about Will, from that of their older siblings to the caretakers to even that of Elfiria, who basically downright is obsessed with with being with Will. Will doesn't have a single ounce of trust value. And in this world, trust value is everything. Even with that, it doesn't stop Will from believing in one thing: heroes. As time went on, he begins to notice that of heroes protecting the innocent, saving the day, gaining that of glory and recognition, not to mention seeing what truly inspires him: the Hero Tower. The tower where all the 100 top 10 ranked heroes all live. A floating tower in the center of City X. It also helps that the orphanage, even though it's on the outskirts of the city, in that of a being that of a somewhat wooden cottage, could see the tower from there, with Will always imagining himself being there as well, but not just by himself, but with Elfie as well. With Elfie noticing this, and she couldn't help but admire that of Will's determination, Will's heart to wanting to be a hero, with even thinking she wants to be a hero too, with this being the first time even bringing it up, with Elfie saying, if you want to be a hero, I do too. I want to be the kind of hero that you can also look up to. With Will completely caught off guard by this, as the two make a promise that they'll be heroes together. It also helps the fact that their idols, being that of the couple hero, Mr. Matchstick and Miss Blazing Fire, are basically the current generation's new #1 hero X, as this would be the very first time where the title of Hero X is shared by a couple, as it even inspired them even more. However, the only problem is the fact that Will's trust value is still at 0. On one day, while the two were basically playing in that of the woods, with Elfie showing off her powers even more to Will, and made Will a little bit, insecure in a way. He always felt like he's just holding her back now, even though they made the promise that they would be heroes. With even Elfie saying that they did make that promise and they're going to keep it together, as they're going to be heroes, just like that of Mr. Matchstick and Miss Blazing Fire, as they'll always be together. With Will quite embarrassed, with even Elfie quite embarrassed too, but pushing that embarrassed aside to be there for one another. However, all that changed when that of a hero growl, as it looks like that of an animal, like mainly that of a bear actually. However, this bear looks wrong in so many ways, as it's giving off that a malicious aura. Multiple swords, blades, and spears and arrows basically look entrapped in it. And what stands out truly the most outside of the aura is also the dark blackness that keeps on wafting off of it from both its mouth, eyes, and ears. With this being a animal affected by that of fear. With Will and Elfie quite scared at the situation. However, Elfie stands her ground, wanting to protect Will. Multiple ice attacks, from an ice blast to sending out of multiple icicles into that of the creature, with even knocking off one of the weapons, as it looks like that of a Chinese Dao sword, as it flings over to that of Will, who's still on the ground, with soon Elfie creating that of multiple clones of herself, before then circling around it and then sending that of more and more icicles, as the bear roars in that of pain and from the barrage attacks that it keeps on being inflicted by. However, with that of one mighty stomp of his paw, it shatters all the clones, knocking Elfie back from the wave, with then Will screaming, "Elfie!" running to the young girl that he loves, with that of fear, before then grabbing the sword on the ground, before saying, "Stay away from her!" With then Elfie, worried for Will, saying, "Will!" As that very moment, without warning, that's when Elfie's powers began to basically consume the sword that Will had. However, it wasn't of her own volition, though. It was almost like it was drawn to that of the sword that Will was holding. However, the main reason that being is because of Will. At this exact same time, Will's trust value, that was always a measly 0 all this time, begins to shift to the same number of trust value that Elfie has, as he begins to channel that of the same ice magic and power through that of the blade, as the blade begins to conjure that of ice spikes, with even that of the hilt of the blade and guard begin to create that of multiple ice spikes that look like that of flowers. With Elfie in shock seeing this as she lets go of the sword, however, it still stays intact into the form that it was before, with her saying, "Will?" As in Will's eyes is that of a look of pure and utter determination in Will. Not to mention what stands out the most, outside of his trust value being similar to Elfie's, is his eyes, as it looks like that of a symbol within his eyes, reflecting off his glasses, leaving Elfie completely and utterly dumbfounded. With that, Will rushes towards that of the corrupted and monstrous bear, and with that of one solitary slash towards its chest, causing the bear to roar out in pain and try to swipe at that of Will. However, Will dodges out of the way easily, almost like he was moving in that of super speed. But as for the slash wound that the bear took, begins to spread all across its body to the point that it begins to freeze over entirely. That nothing, as the bear begins to become that of a giant frozen ice statue, with then leaving that of Will completely utterly dumbfounded in shock. Before then, he feels like a headache is coming his way as he drops the blade. Within, the ice begins to completely fade, and not only that, Will's trust value goes back down to 0. With then, Will passes out on the ground, with Elfie screaming out, "Will!" worried about that of her love and getting him back to that of the orphanage. However, little did Elfie or even Will knew somebody was watching them. Somebody was keeping a close eye on them, with the man in that of a golden mask saying, "Interesting." The very next day, Will basically wakes up from that of his, comatose state, with Elfie saying, "Will, oh, you're okay." With then, Will saying, "What happened?" With Elfie going, "You passed out. You saved me." With then, Will saying, "Saved you? From what?" As Elfie was shocked by this, saying, "What do you mean? You saved me. You saved me from that monster? As Will thinking, I can't remember what happened. All I remember is that you took out that bear and then I blacked out. Guess I was useless. But then Elfie, a little bit tense, saying, Will, you really don't remember what happened? About what you did with then, without warning, she brought that of the sword that Will dropped, saying, with this, you used that of my power. You were able to use my power through this sword. Didn't you? Don't you remember? With then, Will thinking, I'm sorry, Elfie, but I can't remember anything. But if you're trying to make me feel better about me having powers, even though I don't, I still somewhat appreciate it. As trying to give a comforting and somewhat caring smile, with Elfie saying, you really don't remember. As Elfie is a little bit worried, with even the caretakers hearing this, as they remember what Elfie said yesterday, during that so-called monster bear attack. And even though Elfie is always attached to that of Will, she would never lie. She's always been honest no matter what. As the caretakers believe that Will does have a power, but a power that can seem a little bit unnatural to the world. The power to absorb trust value through a blade. As Ashley comes to this realization, thinking that they need to protect Will as much as they can from, well, this. As even though the world is seeing that throughout the world because of all the heroes, since many of them can even remember growing up during the time when the after commission era, especially what their parents brought up too. Will's very existence to absorb people's trust value into himself is something, well, concerning. And they need to make sure that nothing bad happens to him. As time goes on, for some reason, Will starts to take up that of using that sword. As saw it as an idea from that of Elfie, maybe he should learn how to fight. But so he decided to learn how to swing a blade. Even though it's mainly self-taught, he wants to at least improve, as he did make the promise with Elfie. So they have to find some way to keep it in his own way, even without trust value. Around this time, as the two were coming up to being that of 9 years old, that's when a certain former journalist, now turned freelancer, comes to the orphanage, with then Ashley wondering who this man was, as he introduces himself as the man, being that of a man looking at least in that of his, well, early 40s, with that of slick back, long black brownish hair, with that of square frame glasses, and wearing that of a, well, green shirt and a cardigan jacket, with that of khaki pants, saying, hello there, sorry to basically barge in or to come in a pose after all. My name is, well, Liu Zhang. I'm basically a freelance news reporter. Is it okay if I can come in? I wish to speak to you about some things. With then hearing this, Ashley couldn't help but feel a little bit weary at the guy, but then saying, all right, fine, but I got my eye on you, sir. As the brunette man allows the man to enter, but then heading into that of the dining room, where a few of the little kids are kind of curious, with Will and Elfie also somewhat curious too, with Ashley sitting with that of, well, Liu Zhang and the rest of the other caretakers to the side, with Ashley saying, now care to explain yourself? But then Liu Zhang saying, allow me to speak. I heard about that of one of your little ones here having quite a bit of a huge amount of trust value for somebody who hasn't basically been even outside of this orphanage. Am I correct? With then hearing that, Ashley leaning back in a lot more, well, protected state, saying, yes, what about her? As Zhang B. Frank saying, I wanted to help her and give her a chance to become a hero. With then, hearing this, all the kids couldn't help but be shocked by this, even that of Will and Elfie. With then, Zhang continued saying, I have some connections with that of DOS. Not to mention, if not, I have an organization that'd be willing to take them in and improve on that of her abilities. With then hearing that, Ashley saying, out of the question. With then, Zhang saying, what? But why? With Ashley going, it's not my place to decide. Elfie is free to choose her own path for herself. She can decide it on her own. With then hearing this, Elfie couldn't help but feel a little bit vindicated by that. With then, Will, seeing on how tense she is, grabs her by her hand. As the two young kids couldn't help but feel at least a little bit more comfortable by this. With then, Zhang looks around before then noticing that of Elfie and Will together, saying, I'm guessing the reason is she doesn't want to leave somebody behind. Am I right? With then, Ash saying, if you're trying to make a sales pitch, you better get your ass out of here. With then saying, how about this? If she won't go, then how about she bring somebody along with her? With then hearing that, Elfie couldn't help but feel a little bit tense, with even Will feeling somewhat excited. With Zhang saying, Miss Elfiria, would you? With then grabbing, still holding onto Will's hand, dragging him along as well, with the sword still in his hand, in that of his right hand. With soon, Elfiria feeling a little bit nervous, and Will somewhat put on the spot here. With Zhang saying, I thought so. With then, Elfiria feeling a little bit nervous, with Will tensing her hand, as soon Will and Elfiria say at the same time, we both want to be heroes together. With then hearing that, Zhang smiles, saying, all right then, that's all I wanted to hear. By the look of the two of you, you both are basically determined to be together. With that of Elfie and Will having that of a look of pure seriousness, saying, all right then, I'll see what I can do. For the meantime, spend as much time you can get. I want to see if I can help that of two young people achieve their dream of being heroes. With that, Zhang basically bows his head to that Ashley and all the other caretakers, saying, excuse me for taking up your time. As he walks off, with Ashley feeling a little bit annoyed at this before huffing, saying, Will, Elfie, as the two blue nets can help I feel a little bit on the spot, saying, as Ashley going, are you sure that this is what the two of you want? With then, Elfie saying, yes. With Will also smiling as he spoke up, going, Elfie and I made a promise. We would do anything to become heroes. To go to that of the hero tower together. To see the sunset. If this is our way to do so, we have to take it, right? With then hearing that, Ashley huffing, saying, fine then. But remember, you kids are just that of, you're still kids, remember? Maybe at least out of 9. But unlike those Johnnies who have been heroes since they were basically children, I refuse to basically put you through that as well. At least live your life as kids before becoming heroes. Am I understood? Both kids say, yes, sir. With that, Ash saying, well, at least to celebrate a little bit. How about I make dinner tonight? Within, everybody can help but basically cheer, with even that of Will and Elfie as well. And if Ashley just saying, it smiles like that, it's why I still am here. Why I'm still wanting to make sure that these kids are safe and loved before heading off in the world. Unlike you, director, I want to make sure that the kids under my care have a happy life instead of using them as a way to prop yourself up to be a hero again. 1 year later, as some strings were pulled, both Will and Elfiria both were chosen for that to be trained as that of heroes and chosen by one of the agencies at that of Red Garden Academy, an academy that would basically train the next generation of heroes. Here at this academy, they would give that of multiple opportunities for that of multiple agencies all across that of the world to choose them to be heroes. However, during their first year, Elfie was already spotted by not just any agency, but by DOS. The same company that was always planning on taking Elfie after all, when finding out about that of her trust value. At first, Elfie wanted to turn it down, at least mainly because originally she wanted Will to tag along with her as well. However, the CEO of DOS, Mickey, on the other hand, refused, saying that this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity and chances like this don't come so easily. But he gave her at least that of 1 week. 1 week to decide, but after that week is done, the offer is gone, with Elfie already making her choice to not take it. However, the one who convinced her to basically take this opportunity to sign up with DOS already on their first year was Will himself, with Elfie feeling so completely and utterly shocked by this, with Will telling her that this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, and just because she's moving forward before him doesn't mean that their promise ends here. He can keep on training, keep on working hard, keep getting stronger in his own way without trust value. And once he gets the opportunity, he'll sign up with DOS as well. He'll be there right by her side as they can be finally together, always. Within hearing that, Elfie couldn't help but feel completely and utterly enjoy hearing these words from the boy she loves no matter what. And originally she planned on giving him a present for their birthday together, as it being that of a pair of goggles to help him train and so he doesn't break his glasses when he's training again, knowing how much he gets bruised up when sparring with that of other students. With Will taking that of the goggles himself and holding them close to his chest, with then Elfie saying goodbye, and I'll hope I see you soon, Will, as the 10-year-old girl walks off, with then Will saying and screams out, I promise, Elfie, I will be there for you. You'll wait till you'll see. We'll be in the Hero Tower together. I promise. No matter what happens. With then Elfie looking back with tears in her eyes saying, I'll be waiting. And a smile on her face. Since that day, Will Serfort would be another tool for that of DOS to basically fill that of their female empowerment speech on female heroes. As for Will, his time at Red Garden Academy has not been easy. Training against that of multiple, hero candidates haven't been easy, especially when you have no powers whatsoever and you've been using a sword to fight back. Even when he begins to understand and basically able to, react to patterns that certain people have with their powers, especially with simple-minded but as for those with that of more complex powers, on the other hand, it's easier said than done. It also doesn't help that the entire school looks down on him, especially that of 2 students that continue to basically belittle him. From that of Scion Ulster, a redhead with that of crimson red eyes, who comes from a long line of heroes since the day of before the after commission era, during the before commission era. It's even said that his family were part of the hero group alongside that of the original E-Soul that fought against Zero as well. Because of this, Scion is seen as that of a prodigy among that of the school, not to mention another one being a blue-haired boy that seems pretty similar to that of Elfie, actually. Julius Regnance, whose family isn't, well, a generation of heroes, but is basically a wealthy and rich family that got Julian into the school anyway. Julian looks down on anybody that he sees that aren't even on his level, and that especially goes for that of Will, who has no trust value whatsoever. And in this world, trust value is everything. It's especially for those students in the school. Depending on your trust value ranking in the school is how high you are in that of grades, academically, and also potential to be recruited by any hero agency at any time. Not to mention, a lot of students have FOMO accounts as well, mainly to show off what they can do when they start using their abilities, hoping that they can at least get some traction as well. But for Will, he has a FOMO account, but he doesn't really use it. If anything, he kind of sees it as a waste of time when he can use his time to get stronger and train, mainly because of his new inspiration outside of, well, Mr. Matchstick and Miss Blazing Fire being Elfies, his newest inspiration being that of the newest hero, the new E-Soul, Young Chan, as Young Chan basically was the same as him, a boy with no trust value, a boy looked down upon after losing his family and put in orphanage after orphanage before being taken in by his uncle, a boy who basically wanted to be a hero just like his idol E-Soul, even though he had no trust value, no support. To Will, the new E-Soul was his idol. Even when he found out about him calling out the old E-Soul, with the public even believing on that of FOMO, even across that of the academy, that the old E-Soul had something to do with that of his friend's death, which finding out that he was the CEO son of Treeman Industries, Shang Di, saying that it's basically due to agencies and hero companies going at war with one another behind the scenes. And a message from the agency that the old E-Soul was a part of after winning the legal battle for that of the name of E-Soul, even when the two E-Souls did battle with one another, leading to the death of the old E-Soul and the rise of the new one. Will may have not have been a fan of how the old E-Soul had to die in this fight, but E-Soul, the current E-Soul, the Young Chen E-Soul, became his inspiration, where being beside Elfie, being his whole entire goal and dream, it's this E-Soul that that inspired him to keep moving forward, with or without trust value, to work hard and train hard to achieve his dream and goal, to be beside Elfie's side no matter what. Since that day, throughout his entire time throughout the academy, while being looked down upon and ridiculed by students and teachers alike, he trains day in and day out in swordsmanship and that of enhancing and improving his body, doing workout routines constantly to continue to improve. It also helps that a certain, freelance photographer helps out Will from time to time when finding jobs, improving his studies, and everything else as well, due to his connections to DOS. As Liu Zhang couldn't help but want to help out Will in any way he can, as a way to make sure to keep Elfie in line at DOS, while also trying to figure out something about Will and why he's so unique. Currently now, Will is that of 17 years old, as it's the after commission era, year 37, as this being his last year at Red Garden Academy, with now he hasn't gotten any sponsors, been called out or anything. However, there is one thing that has improved. Will's ability to analyze, strategize, and basically plan over anybody's abilities. It's a technique he developed himself called foresight. Through multiple trials and errors in combat, he's able to analyze, develop, and basically counteract people's abilities and skills. But a technique and skill like this is useless unless he's able to basically keep on his toes in every battle. That's where his training came in. He's basically developed himself to have a body so fast and so quick without trust value that he basically moves like he has super speed like Esol. In a way, Will basically gains superhuman speed and reflexes from his constant training. And not to mention, given that this is his last year, he has to take part in one last final chance to be noticed by that of the agencies, known as the Grand Trust Festival, that the school takes place every 2 years within the academy. Anybody from any age can take part. However, these battles can be quite overwhelming, as it starts off as that of a free-for-all battle before turning into that of a lottery-based tournament. The top 10 survivors are able to move on. And during this year, Will had no issue with pushing forward. While everybody has been developing their abilities and powers, some that have that of physical strength and speed and power, some that are able to manipulate that of, the areas around them and even reality in some way or another. But they rely so much on their power that they don't expect somebody to move so quickly to knock them out before the battle even begins. And that's exactly what Will does. Before making it back to that of the center to be one of the first participants to take part in the tournament, anybody that comes his way, he knocks them out, takes them down easily by moving so quickly that he looks like a blur, which catches everybody in the academy completely off guard, as they didn't expect Will to be moving this quickly. They didn't think that he had any powers to begin with, which he still doesn't right now. As he makes it further and further, that's when he runs into Scion, who uses that of his fire powers, sending that of tons of fireballs at that of Will, as he basically dodges out of the way easily, with Scion annoyed at the fact that Will is still even here, still even standing, and somebody like him, an embarrassment, shouldn't even be here. With Will not even fazed or even caring, as he continues moving forward, not letting anybody stop him, as he told Scion that he'll face him when the tournament begins. With then Scion even pissed, as he creates that of a giant fire sparrow and jumps onto it to fly after Will to stop him. But no matter what kind of attack that he sends at that of Will, he won't stop, and he refuses to stop, as this is his last chance, his last time to be there for Elfie again. Arriving back at the stadium with Scion right behind him, seeing that of everyone else who arrived as well. Around that, just like before, 10 people, counting Scion as the last one. With those of the agencies looking at that of all who arrived, however, they're mainly looking at that of people like Scion and Julius. However, one person can't help but not keep their eyes off of Will. Or I should say, 2 people can't keep their eyes off of Will. This being Mr. Chan, CEO of Tree Man, and Rock from Mighty Glory. Rock, because of Will's lack of trust value, believing that he can do the same what he did to that of Yang Chan after all. And Tree Man, seeing the potential within Will, as he knows something about him. As Chan, and out of his office, seeing the games, as someone saying, "I told you the boy wouldn't disappoint." With then looking at that of a cloaked figure, basically standing on the side, with Chan sighing, saying, "So that's her child, is it not?" With then saying, "Yes, that's her child." It's a shame. If Mickey wasn't so simple and narrow-minded, I think he would have been perfect for them, especially given his little crush and love for that of their newest rising star. Looking at that of a beautiful young woman with that of a bluish-white dress, long blue hair, and a staff in her hands. It's this being Elfiria, but her hero name, Frozen Empress. As it also doesn't help that the name fits, given her aloof and non-caring personality towards things, especially with her expression when during interviews and everything. It also helps that she's currently the number 15th hero in the rankings, with the cloak individual saying, "Yes, I'm aware." If the two stick together, they definitely could have become the next Mr. Matchstick and Miss Blazing Fire. You mean get under that of a scandal, with Chan basically having a nonchalant look to it, while still looking at that of the, tournament. But then saying, unlike them, whose love was basically so fragile that the man was willing to cheat on his wife, those two still have a connection. They still have a bond that has not been broken even after all these years. You can tell in the girl's eyes, those are the eyes longing for the man she loves, still waiting for him to stand by her side. With Chan basically scoffing, saying, "The delusional dream of a lovesick girl, nothing more and nothing less. The boy is far more important, after all, to the balance of this world." Oh, is this Chan Di, president, CEO of Tree Man Agency and part of the Hero Commission? Or is this Chan Di the person whose family was trusted with that of the boy's future by his mother? With then Chan basically looking back at the cloaked figure saying, crossing his hands as well, saying, why not both? If the boy ends up winning the title or showing that of the power that he was born with, then I'll add him to the agency. With then the cloaked figure saying, and if he denies, with soon Chan saying, I'll make sure he doesn't. As the man says this with a tone of pure and utter conviction. As the tournament begins with the fight, with Will's first fight being against Scion. With, of course, this is the fight that everybody has been waiting for, with multiple students telling Scion to put that of the laggard, the talentless, the trust value loser in his place. With even people saying that Will's luck has now officially ran out. With then Will, on the other hand, not even fazed, not even caring, as he keeps on moving forward for his stride to his dream. Sword in hand, goggles on his face, and a look of determination, with Scion sending that of a not holding anything back, as he sends that of multiple fire tornadoes towards Will, with Will dodging out of the way out of all of them, but not stopping there as he continues blitzing forward. Within, Scion sending that of multiple fiery birds at that of Will, as Will dodges out of them, jumping around, sliding to the ground, with even one touching his sword for a bit, but instead of it basically, and being burned alive, instead for some reason, the flames basically dispersed before then. In one moment, Will's trust value basically sped up, making him move even faster. With Scion seeing this, creating that of his flaming Sparrow Guardian as he flies up into the air, with the Sparrow sending that of multiple flame attacks towards that of Will, with Will jumping around, with people even basically saying that there's no way in hell he'll be able to touch Scion in the air now, since he can't even fly, with Will basically running to the edge of the arena, basically walking up the wall. Before then, he crouches down, with all of his force, launches himself forward towards that of Scion. Within, Scion, annoyed at this, saying, just stay the hell down, you bastard! As he as soon, Will basically stabs out of the fire spell. However, as soon as he does, that's when something happens. His eyes begin to change. The flames begin to coat around the sword, and Will's trust value basically mimics the same value as Scion's, as the flames are coated around his blade, leaving everybody completely dumbstruck. Even that of all of the managers and agents that came to see that of the match with even Chan, basically eyes whining in shock. Before then, he can help but smirk a little bit, saying, "Yep, yes, he's Lady Mercedes' boy, all right." With the man under the robe also can help but smirk under it, saying, "Yes, he is." The Queen of Mages should be happy that her son continues her legacy, even without him realizing it. Which also means, with Shen having that of a look of pure determination and somewhat deviousness behind his eyes, saying he'll possibly be able to absorb fear value as well, but into that of the sword. Looking at Will's flaming blade back in the match, with Will kind of shocked by the sword and engulfed in flames and not burning him, but not stopping there, as then with one solitary slash, he cuts right through that of the flaming sparrow, as it soon squeals in that of pain and fades away in embers, with leaving that of Scion to basically fall to the ground, and then basically you could hear that of a huge ass thud as he bounces off the concrete before then passes out from the pain, with Will landing back on his feet, creating that of a small crater, but not enough to basically break him and his legs as well, with still having the flaming blade, and then looking to his left arm at his trust value, as it's exactly the same amount of trust value as Scion's, with then realizing, this, I remember back when I was a kid. This is my power. The power that's neither trust value. But how? Why don't I remember? Why couldn't I remember? But then, Will basically holding his head and that of frustration as he feels a headache coming, saying, "Oh, I remember having a headache. Why can't I?" With then going to his knees and then using that of the sword to basically catch himself as well, having a hard time breathing, but still stands his ground, leaving everybody in the arena completely and utterly dumbstruck, except one person from DOS, who basically could care less about currently now with DOS right now, because of how right now they're focusing more on that of Lucky Cyan and Queen, and Boa having that of their, reputations ruined, with Cyan basically being called that of the cursed child, being what's happening at that of District 7, her old hometown and city. Queen's loss to that of the newest hero that was just ranked the newest number 1, known as Miss X. And Boa's fallout that she also lost, but also how the public is criticizing her own loss to X as well. But as for Elfie, who barely makes any appearances, who cares little about that of her entertainment, and barely even listens to that of her agent, who also is her caretaker, could care less as she looks at that of Will, the boy she loves more than anything, and smiles, placing her hand on that of her TV, saying, "You remember, Will. You finally remember." Giving off that of a loving and longing smile towards the man she loves. And after that, Will still can't basically, ponder his mind on what just happened. He felt a massive headache from the feedback of that attack, of absorbing that of Scion's attack, and basically copying his own trust value, not to mention the influx of power as well, as he wonders if this is what it's like to have trust value. Before then, the sword basically no longer coated in flames, and Will's trust value plummeting back down to 0. After that match, things begin to change, with many people basically rooting for Scion after his other match, then the other, and the other. Hell, when he finally fought against that of Julian in the finals, Julian basically tried to make some kind of stupid plan to overwhelmed him with numbers by creating ice clones, basically in a technique that Elfie created, thinking as not only this basically pissed off Will, because seeing that of the woman he loves technique being used by somebody unworthy of it, even basically calling her out, saying that she's not even worth being called a hero after all, when she's stuck in the top 15 to get under Will's skin. And it exactly does that. However, not for long. As soon Will basically came in contact with that of, well, Julian's trust value ice attack, the ice began to coat around that of his sword, creating just almost like that of the same sword that Elfiria created with them when they were kids. However, it's a lot more jagged, spiky, and aggressive. Not elegant and beautiful like how it was with that of Elfiria's. Within sending that of a wave of ice spikes towards that of, well, Julian and his clones, destroying them all not one at a time, but all at once, leaving Julian completely and utterly shocked as he tries creating more and more clones, but realizes that he can't because it takes way too much time. Not to mention, he can't even control the clones as soon as he makes them, as he's basically been cheating with one of his lackeys and that of the audience have been controlling his clones, which basically disqualifies Julian throughout for that of the tournament. Hell, he doesn't even take second place at all because of knowing this little trick, leaving Will to become the winner and leaving everybody also no longer looking down on the zero, with Will now in the full spotlight like he always wanted, with Elfie cheering for that of her man, and also Shang-Di and the cloaked figure saying, best chance to get him now, make an entrance for it. With then Shang-Di already saying, I already planned on it and I've already sent him. With then saying, have to be over the top, does it? Which is necessary. With then Shang-Di basically crossing his arms as he hangs up his phone saying, only for the best. I'm not letting those others take control of him. He's one tool and one promise I will keep. As Will is basically declared that of the winner and having that of tons of people wanting him, with even reporters coming to him as soon as he got his medal, basically asking which agency he's going with and how did people not know about his trust value. Even still wonder on why his trust value is still 0 right now when he has powers. With Will basically completely overwhelmed by this, with then, as somebody was about to come up to that of Will behind that of the reporters and make an offer for him, that's when a certain someone saying, I think that's enough, everybody. You're going to overwhelm him. As an elegant and soft-spoken voice is basically behind that of Will. Within, Will's eyes in shock, seeing that of a rising star hero in the rankings, the perfect hero from Tree Man Agency. Nice. With Will completely and utterly in shock saying, nice! Oh my god, it's truly an honor to meet you, sir. With then saying, likewise, as a hero of Tree Man Agency, I would actually like to appoint you to that of Tree Man. This is coming from the CEO of Tree Man himself, Mr. Shang. With then hearing that, as the reporters couldn't help but basically record all of this, even taking pictures, with Will saying, wait, Tree Man, but I've heard you originally wanted to go to DOS, did you not? With then Will basically shocked saying, it's no need to feel worried or anything. Your little shout out to that of Elfiria or I should say, Frozen Empress says it all, leaving Will to basically blush in complete utter shock and even realize that he possibly also, embarrassed Elfie, wanting to know if he'll ever let it down, but then saying, but how about this? Work under Tree Man Agency for the time being And when you feel like you have a better understanding of hero life, you can go to DOS, but you'll need to speak with that of multiple agents and even Mr. Shang himself. Does that sound all right? As he gives off a kind, comforting, and perfect smile. But internally right now, Nice is so annoyingly pissed that he has to be here at all, as he can basically be doing something better of his life right now than offering a spot like this to this trustless brat. With then Will saying, all right then, I'll hear Mr. Chan out. Within Nice saying, excellent, I'll meet you tomorrow. Within hearing that, Nice basically flies off, leaving that of the crowd basically going crazy for the white-haired and white-suited hero. With Will basically sighing, realizing, it looks like I won't be right next to your side so soon, Elfie. With that of a Wonder Man basically walking away, thinking, I'll offer him another chance when I know that the deal will probably fall through, knowing Shen. As Rock walks away, the very next day, Will arrives at that of Tree Man Agency's HQ, seeing that of the massive building, and at a complete and utter shock, seeing such a, expensive and crazy building. With then, as he enters and as somebody guides him through that of the halls, basically shows him around, as it being that of a slim woman with that of a blue dress, with that of a blonde bun style haircut, with that of glasses, as this woman is Miss J, Nice's agent and manager, with her saying, and you must be Will Serfort, am I right? With Will saying, yes ma'am, that's me, with sword in his hands but standing in place almost like he's in the military, with her saying, yeah, I get it, kid, come on, I don't want to keep that of Mr. Sheng waiting. As she walks off, having Will basically follow after her, with then in that of the elevator, Will couldn't help but feel a little bit tense, saying, so, what do I need to expect from the CEO of Tree Man? With Miss J looking over a clipboard saying, say every answer correctly, try not to make him angry, and most importantly, don't always make direct eye contact when you're talking to him. With Will hearing that, he couldn't help but have a nervous smile saying, good to know. As they arrive in front of a large, wooden doors, with then Miss J knocks on the door saying, sir, I brought Will Serfort. With saying, tell him to enter. With then hearing that, Will opens as Miss J opens the door, with then saying, I'm not coming in. I was not given permission to. As she closes the door back, causing Will to feel a little bit, nervous as he enters into that of the massive office. However, it's quite well organized. A huge, window view with that of a second floor and that of Sheng Di there, basically looking through that of his computer. But then realizing, Will Serfort, it's a pleasure to meet you, young man. I saw what you did during the festival. You're quite special. With then Will feeling nervous but still keeping eye contact, saying, yes, thank you for your praise, sir. And I'm honored to, but then saying, if you're honored to be part of Tree Man, we haven't decided that yet. This is only an interview. But then, hearing that, Will couldn't help but feel even more nervous, saying, interview? With then closing his computer as the holographic display disappears before looking back at Will with a calculating eye and stoic seriousness, saying, normally, when we see that of heroes with good potential, we always hire them on the spot. Tree Man Agency is the agency where everybody, no matter where their background is, no matter where they come from, can all become heroes. DOS, they focus on female empowerment heroes. Mighty Glory, trying to become more of a heroes based on strength and power, and FOMO, where anybody with talent can become heroes. We here at Tree Man would like to put the name hero back into the hands of the people. Do you understand that? With then hearing that, Will saying, yes, sir. However, for some reason, deep down in Will's consciousness, if a voice that he wished that he listened to way sooner, basically saying, why does everything he say feel like it's just scripted and not even real? But yet his nervousness is overwhelming that of his logic and reasoning and caution to the winds. As Shang continues, since Will has no trust value, it's hard to basically gauge his ability and skills as that of a hero. How the public will see him, especially in this day and age where trust value dictates your way of life. Just because he has the skills, he has the power, and he has the ability to basically become a hero doesn't mean he should be. So Shang wants him to convince him once, only once, if he can become a hero and why he should allow him to be part of Tree Man in one word. With then hearing that, Will couldn't help but feel a little bit, nervous actually, like he's being put on the spot on why he should be a hero, what it means to be a hero after all. As honestly, the idea on what it means to be a hero by anybody and everyone is completely different. How it feels and what it means to be are two completely different things that depends on how the people see heroes, even themselves. With Will taking a deep breath and giving his pure and utter honest, within saying, sir, the reason I want to be a hero, the reason I always wanted to be a hero is because I want to be by Elfiria's side. I'm a hero for love. With then hearing that, Shang couldn't help but basically sigh and say, such a juvenile response. With Will feeling a little bit uncomfortable with that tone, saying, it seems like you're truly not worthy of being part of Tree Man. I wasted my time and yours. Apologies. With then hearing that, Will saying, but wait, it's just that saying, you're free to go. Have a nice day, Mr. Serfort. As he soon connects to his computer once again, without even bothering looking back at Will. With Will feeling quite nervous and actually quite down at that, as he bows his head saying, thank you for your time, sir, and sorry for wasting it as well. As he soon walks off, within and entering out of that with Miss J basically seeing Will as looking on the face saying, I thought so, without even saying it. As he goes to the elevator, as soon as he enters inside, saying, thank you, Miss J. As the door closes, at that very moment, that's when Will basically crumbled down to the ground and fully began to cry, as those tears of pure and utter despair, feeling it's not fair. It's just not fair. I didn't ask to not have any trust value. I didn't ask to have zero. So why? Why is it not fair for me to not have trust value? And yet, as he couldn't help but basically completely break down crying at that very moment. Back in Chen's office, with him looking at that of his computer, within somebody behind him with a blade to his neck saying, I was really hoping that you would play the smart card, Shang, instead of being the hard ass. I think you spend way too much time with Yan Mo. With Chang saying, put that blade away. I have a plan for that of young Serfort. It's saying, you didn't enlighten me. You said that you would take him in. This isn't that. With then Shang Di sighing, saying, just as we had plans with that of Nice and Wreck. Wreck is useful as that of a makeshift villain for that of Nice to boost his credibility by making him his nemesis. We need a way so we can basically draw the attention to him so the public will know that even a person without trust value can become a hero. That will be our chance. I've already made a certain call for a certain deceased hero to make a comeback as a villain. With then the cloaked figure saying, you're going to be using Split, aren't you? With Shang Di actually smiling this time, saying, we need Will to be at his best. Even if he doesn't gain trust value, the public will see him as a hero, will see him as a top-ranking pro without it. And if he's the perfect catalyst, just imagine what would happen if Split's fear affected his blade. With then, hearing that, the man saying, you devious bastard, you're trying to help him while also testing one of your fear hypotheses. You know what, you really make me sick, Shang. If Will gets hurt, it's your head. Remember that. With then saying, I'm already aware. As he presses an enter button, at the exact same time, Will reaches the lobby, got his cry basically taken care of right then and there. As soon as he enters out of the lobby and heading outside, that's when explosions begin to happen all around. With Will complete and utter shock, wondering what's happening, before then noticing that of multiple individuals in suits causing nothing but havoc across that of the city area. Seeing that of the former number one hero X, Split, in that of his black suit, fedora, and gas mask glory. With Will realizing, wait, I've seen that guy before. He's a hero back when I was a kid. But I thought he was dead. With then, many of the civilians are trying to run. However, a Split clone was about to basically bash in that of the head of one of the running civilians. However, Will doesn't stop there as he blitzes towards that of the Split clone and cutting off the guy's arm before he even had a chance to land a blow. With seeing that of the clone, completely shocked by this. Before then, its arm begins to regrow. As for Will's blade, on the other hand, something happened. Something changed. As he could feel that of something coating it. As it looks black. At the same time, something happens through his body. He feels a change. Before his eyes, a certain symbol materialized in his eyes, just like always. But it looks a lot more whole. That he begins to hear a voice saying, to think, this is what should be your first taste of fear, my boy. I'm sorry that it had to be this way. As Will couldn't help but clench his head, saying, wait, who are you? As the voice once again spoke, as it's more effeminate this time, saying, that will come in due time. But for now, use what fear that you can consume and use it to protect the others. Is this not why you became a hero? So you can not just spend time with that of the woman you love, but also protect those who can't protect themselves. What's the point of power if you can't use it to not just better yourself and those you love, but others as well? Within, Will feeling like an unusual calm as he soon puts on his goggles, saying, I don't know who you are, but you're not entirely wrong. Seeing the chaos and flicking the blade as his Chinese Dao sword blade is completely and utterly black. And as for Will, as for his trust value, it hasn't changed a bit. Or rather, internally it has changed to a number nobody, and I mean nobody can see. Negative 100,000, as that was the value that the number one former hero, Split, used to have for trust value. But now, due to it being corrupted by fear, it's in the negatives. which still affects Will. But instead of consuming him and making him go crazy, he's able to control it. Within, he blitzes towards more and more of the split clones and basically cuts off that of their limbs more and more, before then of a black energy-like slash at that of a few more clones, cutting them in half, having the people be completely and utterly dumbfounded by that of Will's power, as many civilians said that they have seen Will and even recognized him from that of the yesterday's festival. The boy with no powers and yet has the power to absorb trust value into a blade. A boy basically taking out these villains easily and even showing off powers once again, showing that he is an enigma, but an enigma that the people are rallying against. A person with no trust value, with zero trust at all, is saving lives right in front of them, as even catching this all on camera, with Nice basically hovering over that of Tree Man HQ, with being told by Shang-Di to stand down and don't do anything. Just let all of this play out as is. As Nice listens to these orders obediently, however, internally, he's a little annoyed at the fact that he isn't getting any spotlight. Not to mention, as he sees Will taking care of all the split clones easily, slicing away at them at Will, with finding out that even though this is the former Hero X years ago, he's not even able to keep up with Will's speed. Amplified by that of fear, Will almost looks like that of a full-on blur. Hell, you could even say that possibly not even the current E-Soul would be able to catch him if he even wanted to, making Nice feel a little bit more uncomfortable, as he soon takes care of the last split clone. Before then, that's when Split, no longer receiving orders, basically begins to retreat and run away. With that, Will prepares, saying, "Oh no, you don't." Before it, however, at that very moment, that's when Shang-Di saying, "Now you can go." With Ben saying, "Yes, sir," as he flies back down. Before Will could basically act, Nice is already in front, saying, "Y'all need to take care of this, Serfort. I can handle this." As he gives off a smile and his signature finger guns, before then flying after that of Split, with Will kind of shocked by this. However, that's when the crowd begins to clap, begins to cheer for that of Will, with many people, with those of the civilians that he saved, basically congratulating him and thanking him, with saying he's done well, that he was a great hero. With Will utterly basically shocked by this, being thanked by everybody, with the media now showing up again, even saying that this is possibly Will's first true debut as a hero, when Will said that he isn't even part of a agency. That's when a certain red-suited man now that basically orchestrated all of this walks up saying, "That's because Tree Man Agency would like to sign Will Serfort, a part of our agency." With Will utterly shocked by this, saying, "But sir, I thought you..." As Shang-Di places a hand on Will's shoulder, saying, "After seeing your bravery and seeing your skills, I decided to change my mind. Somebody as worthy as you and capable as you definitely deserves to be part of Tree Man. I hope you haven't changed your mind, young man." With then hearing that, Will saying, "No, sir, I haven't. If anything, I'll do my best. I'll prove myself even more. Your trust in me won't go to waste." As that, soon the paparazzi began to take on more and more pictures as the reporters began asking questions. With then the cloaked figure seeing all this, saying, "Wow, even though he's gaining a lot of trust, he can't feel it at all. Not a single drop of it." However, within looking on that of FOMO, as so many people are basically commenting on Will, calling him that of the first zero trust value hero. The first hero with no trust value, but still reaching that of the hero title. With the man smirking, saying, "Looks like your plan is already starting to become fruition, Mercedes." A hero with no trust value and is incapable of being corrupted by fear. The sacrifices that you made to prevent another zero is starting to become fruition. However, within, looking back at the screen at Shang-Di as he mentally thinks, but does Shang-Di still believe in that ideal? Or is he following his own path? With the cloaked figure feeling a little bit worried for the future for Will. After this incident, Will was signed with Tree Man Agency and becoming that of the 21st hero in the rankings. After this moment, he officially graduated from Red Garden Academy, no longer needing to go to the school and leaving his dormitory room, gathering his things, with now being told that he can now move into that of the Hero Tower, even though, technically, the higher floors are all for that of the top 10 heroes. But other heroes can live in the tower too, but only in that of their own, rooms though. As he got a pretty decent apartment, but still, it's not that half bad after all. As the first part of his dream has now been complete, all that's left is to see Elfie. As soon as he plies to head up to that of the higher floors to go and see that of Elfie, given that she's still that of the 15th highest ranked hero. However, as soon as he tries, that's when his access was denied, causing Will to be completely shocked, wondering on why. With then a certain hero who's actually made quite a name for herself this year because of a certain incident at her hometown, spoke up saying, "It's because you're a lower ranker hero." With then, looking back, seeing the emerald-haired young lady with that of white uniform and a guitar in her back, as this being Lucky Cyan, currently now the number 7 hero. With Will blinking multiple times saying, "Hey, you're Lucky Cyan." At her saying, "And you're Will Serfort, right?" With then saying, "I'm guessing you already figured my name." Well, saying, "No, honestly, Alfiria does not stop talking about you from time to time." With then, Will saying, she doesn't?" With her saying, "Come on, if you want to go and see her, you should probably let me tag along." With then saying, "Wait, but why?" As having a look of pure and utter dumbfounded, saying, "Why would you?" With Cyan face smiling, saying, "I know what it's like to not being able to see a person that you care about a lot. After all these years, trust me, it's a painful moment after all." With that, they soon enter into that of the elevator before reaching that of the floor on where Elfie is at. As the elevator ride being quite quiet, before then tapping on that of the doorbell, with then saying, "Hey, Alfiria, it's me, Cyan. I actually came to visit you, and somebody else is here too." With then hearing no answer, as Will taking a deep breath saying, "Elfie, it's me." With hearing that, even without hearing anything, Will could already hear a gasp, even without knowing that Elfie gasp is for a pure and utter moment, barging right through the door and basically tackling Will. Is that of an older and 17-year-old age Alfiria? With her saying, "Is it you? Is it really you, Will?" With then Will basically clinging onto her too, as they both embrace each other, saying, yeah, it's me." As tears also come down his eyes too, but subtly. With then entering an act of Alfiria's place, as it's actually quite huge, to be honest, but even bigger than his. With then Zion basically just waiting outside, given that, well, Will wouldn't be able to basically leave the floor unless he had somebody with higher clearance after all. With then Elfie saying, I saw what you did. You were amazing out there. I've been keeping an eye on you for so long. Well, Will saying, what about you, Frozen Empress? Within, she basically feeling embarrassed, saying, that name, I did not like that name. Honestly, it does not suit me at all. As she's feeling so basically flustered and embarrassed, with Will's basically couldn't help but laugh a little bit, saying, I kind of figured as much. To be honest, it kind of does suit you a little bit. But I think I would switch Frozen Empress with Frozen Princess. It fits you so much more. With then hearing that, Elfie couldn't help but basically pout her cheeks a little bit. But at the same time, she actually enjoyed hearing that from Will. As the two basically stand close to each other, as their dream is somewhat achieved. As right now, the sun is actually setting, and both of them are in the Hero Tower, showing that they completed it together. With then Will saying, looks like we achieved our dream. With Elfie saying, not entirely yet. With then Will saying, huh? What do you mean? I mean, with her saying, we're still not fully together. And not only that, what would the public say if the newest 21st hero is now dating the current 15th ranked hero? With hearing that, Will saying, well, you just gotta hold out for a bit. We can just tell the public, saying, you're from Tree Man, and I'm from DOS. No way in hell that they'll allow that. With then hearing that, saying, but I mean, I can move to DOS. All I need to do is just spend a little bit more time without a Tree Man, and then within Elfie grabbing Will by his shoulders, catching Will completely off guard in mid-sentence, with Elfie saying, Will, I'm only going to say this once. Stay the hell away from DOS. Within hearing that, Will completely shocked, saying, what? With her having a look of pure seriousness, saying, DOS is not what it seems. As she lets go and basically brings down her time at DOS, as on the surface, it seems like the kind of agency for that female hero empowerment, that it's always welcoming and always willing to give that of the chance for all types of heroes. But yet, on the surface, it's more than just an act. Here at DOS, heroes are literally nothing but prophets and figureheads. They even basically use that of our own status as heroes to basically either use or discard us if we've served our purpose one way or another. Tell me, have you heard anything new about that of Boa? With Ben hearing that, saying, wait, you mean the former number one hero X? I haven't seen her basically took on any villains or done any hero work in basically a year now, 2 years or now. Her ranking's basically gone so low, and I don't even think she has high trust value anymore. Elfie saying that's what DOS is. It's nothing but a viper's den. A den where as long as you have value to that of Mickey in the company, you're basically useful. If you don't, you already served your purpose. That's what DOS is. With hearing that, Will couldn't help feel a little bit nervous. Before then saying, then come with me to Tree Man. I swear, Mr. Shang is kind of he's a piece of work, but I can tell he's a good guy looking out for his heroes a bit. With then, Elfie saying, Will, you haven't been in this limelight for so long, but all of the companies, or better yet, the commission itself is nothing but a corrupt. With hearing this from Elfie, with her saying, I want to tell you this because I love you more than anything in this world. All I'm saying is for you to stay yourself, and I'll do what I can to get out of DOS. Within, she grabbing Will's hands and placing it close to that of her forehead, saying, let us go together. Let us get out of our agencies and just go solo, go independent, far away from all of this. Don't you agree? With hearing this from Elfie, Will can help say, if that's what you want, Elfie, I'll follow it. You've never been wrong before. But to do that, I need to get stronger. I need to be seen as a better hero in front of the public. So that also means I need to get into the top 10. Am I right? With her smiling, saying, that's the idea. Within, letting go of Elfie before hugging her, saying, then I'll do it. I'll make you proud. I'll become one of the top strongest heroes. Just you watch. Within hearing that, Elfie hugs back, saying, I know you will. You kept your promise all this time after all. With that, the two felt like time just stood still. All for them. As the years now go by, Will has been taking this opportunity to grow even stronger, not holding anything back. When he's not basically being paraded as, well, as the newest hero of Tree Man Agency, he basically does take care of multiple villains and saving people's lives, and out of natural disasters. However, he hasn't fought against any other person, though, even people who actually began using fear after all. As currently, Will now being 18 years old, and now technology using fear is starting to spread across the world. As for Will, his fame and glory begins to spread, and he'll go by that of a new hero name, Weiss. It's to make him sound a lot more elegant than he already is, or to have that of a more catchy name, just like that, to be nice, mainly because, well, Tree Man Agency basically forced that of Will and Nice to be partners, especially given what happened currently with that of, well, Shindy basically trying to improve that of the fear outbreak and power with that of using split clones, causing both Will and Nice to work overtime to take care of them. Nice was already aware about all of what Split was really made for, basically just used as a PR stunt. After all, this was basically a true shine on what Split is truly capable of. Will, on the other hand, thought that Split was just causing havoc all over again. But when taking care of them, it made it feel a little bit unnatural. Like they were just going on a rampage just to be a rampage. Nothing more, nothing less. And it made him feel a little bit more suspicious. Thinking that the first time he fought against Split, somebody was controlling him. And now he's being unleashed without any prime directive, which making Will a little bit more skeptic on what's going on behind the scenes and taking Elfie's words more seriously than he did before. It was also during this year, Moon actually signed up with that of Tree Man as well and started her fake relationship with Nice. At first, Will was actually happy for Nice because part of him thought that Nice was a cool dude and an awesome friend, actually. But when he found out from Nice and even Moon herself that that their entire relationship is basically a PR stunt, even from Miss J as well, because not only that she's Weiss's manager, she's also Will's manager too, basically being double for both of them. Not to mention, because of dealing with the, split clones, both Will and Nice's rankings basically went up even higher than before, with Nice now ranked that of rank 15, taking that of Elfie's spot, who always held that spot ever since she debuted, actually, but now taken from her. And currently Will is in ranked number 17. Couple years now going by, after a certain incident during the ruins where Will didn't even take part, was known as the Ruin Incident that caused a lot of lives, casualties, and even brought light to that of certain corruption within the Hero Commission as well, which soon made Will more skeptic. Not the fact that Nice was there too. Plus, it also led to that of new people being added to the rankings, decreasing in the rankings, and rising higher into the rankings, such as that of Loli being ranked number 6, Ghostblade leaving Mighty Glory and becoming ranked number 4, and the Johnnies ranking up to that of rank number 5. Nice still at that of rank number 15, but that wouldn't last long during this year as well. That being the Smile incident, as it would be implied that Nice was involved with that of Smile's downfall. The number 3 hero once number 1 hero, before being consumed by that of fear and taken down by that of the current number 3 hero, Dragon Boy. But at the same time, it would also basically brought up the identity of the current number 1 hero, X. When seeing this, it basically caused the friendship between that of Will and Nice to become more, fractured actually. With the fact that Nice blamed himself for that of Smile's downfall and constantly having to be perfect and even betraying his best friend, Rek, it basically begins to make him more and more downward spiral, becoming more and more unhinged. However, the very next year, the AC era 841, this would be the year where Will would finally break the top 10. After all these years, Split and Will, the public has basically dubbed Split as Will's nemesis after all these years, constantly getting involved, constantly taking him out, constantly being the one to bring him in all the time and running away as well. With Will getting a lead on where Split is, however, the one who at the same time, this is also where both Ahu and X soon show up as well. As Will, fighting alongside that of X to take care of Split, Will sees that of, X's powers. The power to alter and change reality with a snap of his fingers. Instantly. Like, there's no drawback, no cooldown, no nothing. Not even Will's power. Even Will's power of copying that of, X's trust value by just being near him. It affects his sword. However, it doesn't affect Will. With even looking at that of X's trust value, his trust value is similar to his 0. But when looking at his sword, the sword he's always had by his side ever since a kid, he could see something change, multiple colors, multiple shades, multiple everything that you can see under the rainbow. So many colors and basically changing in one blade. And with one solitary slash, sending all of the Split clones basically going into that of one dimension. Completely all gone. Just like that. With X seeing this and couldn't help but whistle, saying, "So, you really are him, aren't you?" But then, Will saying, "And you are X, the current number 1 hero. You know, there's a rumor about you, about how you're planning on basically taking down the commission, and how you're basically the most dangerous hero of all time, especially the fact that you've been the number 1 hero for so long." Within, X saying, "Trust me, if I wanted to get rid of the title of X and number 1 hero, I would. So long. Then why? Why didn't you throw it? Give it up so much if you hated being the number 1 hero." Within X saying, "Because now it's personal. The commission needs to be brought down, and all the agencies along with it. The commission was made to regulate heroes and to keep them from basically causing too much harm to the world. But now the agencies, alongside the commission, have caused nothing but harm to not just the public, but also to the heroes as well. So knowing all this, are you going to arrest me, kid? Just gotta say, I'm not gonna hold anything back just because you're Mercedes, kid. With then Will saying, what are you talking about? Who's Mercedes? With then X blinking multiple times saying, wait, you don't know about your own mother? With then Will saying, my mother? With then X saying, oops, guess I wasn't supposed to bring that up just yet if you don't know. What the hell is that dwarf even doing if he's by your side all this time? With then Will saying, wait, hold on, what are you? Sorry, kid, but I gotta go. As for the credit for these, he's your nemesis. You take it. Or at least share it. With then snapping his fingers before disappearing, saying, wait, what do you mean? With then Will completely and utterly shocked, as right beside him is that of a little dog, a dog with a fedora on its head, with blinking multiple times saying, what just happened? At this very moment, at this very time, 2 top 10 heroes were born. The first one was Ahu, who signed with that of FOMO and gained trust value from the people. And the other, the new number 10 hero, Weiss, that being Will. However, he wouldn't stay at number 10 for long, as after that of the little incident with that of taking out his nemesis, and his popularity began to skyrise with his trust value still at 0, Will is now ranked number 9, taking the spot from E-Soul. And before that, that's when he found out about that of Nice's little, swan dive, and then Lin Ling began to take his identity. When finding out the truth about his former friend now basically taking his life, and now knowing about Lin Ling, he wanted to basically tell Lin Ling about the truth about the hero lifestyle, about what he's going to get himself into. But all that would be way too late, to be honest. That's because the world found out that Nice was dead, and Lin Ling has been impersonating him before becoming the new number 10 hero, beating E-Soul and Firm Man, and becoming the Commoner, becoming the newest top 10 hero. And now everything has now come full circle, with Will keeping his promise to reach the top 10. Once he becomes number 1, he finally will confess his love to the world, how he feels about Altheria. They'll both basically leave their agencies and go independent once he wins. But before that too, he needs answers from X on who he is and who his mother is. But to do that, he needs to beat him first in the 21st Hero Tournament. And that's it. Thank you guys for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please tell me what you guys think in the comments below. Love to read them. And yeah, this one was way longer than I normally do for that of my what ifs. When it comes to that of Will and how much I want to basically show on how much this guy is a freaking threat for an underdog, then yeah, I need to show it. Especially given the fact that Will's ability to basically take other people's magic and abilities from his own world into a sword is pretty damn broken. As you just saw at the very end with him taking that of X's powers into a blade, the power to alter and change reality with a snap of a finger. But what would happen with that of a single swing from a blade? Like creating a freaking black hole, for example. And honestly, if we do get a season 2 for that of To Be Hero X, I think if I restart this up with that of Will, he's going to be my most favorite to basically do anyway, if you guys haven't noticed. So yeah, at any rate, if you guys like this, please like, comment, and subscribe. Hit that bell notification key to get my videos when I upload to the channel. Also, please check out my Discord, gaming channel, other channel, side channel, Patreon, and Cash App. All linked in the description below. So, with all that said, this is Leon Mookie, signing out. Later, guys. Hope you all take care. You know what to do, my Shiro.
Hi everyone, this is White Fox. If you liked Leon's video, click the video on the left to see the most recent one. And if you want to see more of this, click the subscribe button and notification bell and check out his playlists. If you still haven't subscribed, do so in the center. With that said, I hope to see you again on my love's channel. Bye!